In this competitive age, there is always a need for good information. Today, when companies are generating a massive amount of data and it is growing exponentially with every passing day. Here, technology helps us in gathering related information and create reports that can be understood quickly. The report generation is easy with popular reporting tools in the technical marketplace, and one of the most reliable tools is SSRS. In this video, I list top 20 SSRS interview questions with answers with proper examples. To start SSRS interview questions and answers session, I request you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press bell icon to get real-time updates of interview questions and answers, which is helping to prepare the interview.
What is SSRS?
SQL Server Reporting Service is one of the server-based software systems that generate reports developed by Microsoft. It is used for preparing and delivering interactive and variety of printed reports. It is administered through an interface that is web-based. Reporting Services utilizes a web service interface for supporting and developing of customized reporting applications. It can be competed with Crystal Reports and other business intelligence tools.
Explain SSRS Architecture.
Reporting Services Architecture comprises of integrated components. It is a multi-tiered, included with application, server and data layers. This architecture is scalable and modular. A single installation can be used across multiple computers. It includes the following components: Report Manager, Reporting Designer, browser types supported by Reporting Services, Report Server Command Line Utilities, Report Server Database, Reporting Services Extensibility, data sources that is supported by Reporting Services.
Explain Reporting Lifecycle.
The reporting lifecycle includes report designing. The designing is done in Visual Studio Report Designer. It generates a class which embodies the report definition. Report processing. The processing includes binding the report definition with data from the report data source. It performs on all grouping, sorting and filtering calculations. The expressions are evaluated except the page header, footer and section items. Later it fires the binding event and bound event. As a result of the processing, it produces report instance. Report instance may be persisted and stored, which can be rendered at a later point of time. Report rendering. Report rendering starts by passing the report instance to a specific rendering extension, HTML or PDF formats. The instance of reports is paged if paging supported by output format. The expressions of items are evaluated in the page header and footer sections for every page. As a final step, the report is rendered to the specific output document.
How to fine-tune reports.
To tune up the reporting services, follow the below-mentioned ways. Expand the server or utilizing the reporting services of another database server. For better embedding of report content, report applications logic and characteristics can have a duplicate copy of data. Replication of data continuously. Using no lock. The issues of locking can well be resolved and the performance of the query can be improved. This can be done by using dirty read at the time of duplicating the data is unavailable.
What are data-driven subscriptions?
Reporting Services provides data-driven subscriptions so that you can customize the distribution of a report based on dynamic subscriber data. Data-driven subscriptions are intended for the following kinds of scenarios: distributing reports to a large recipient pool whose membership may change from one distribution to the next. For example, distribute a monthly report to all current customers. Distributing reports to a specific group of recipients based on predefined criteria. For example, send a sales performance report to the top 10 sales managers in an organization.
Explain what is a subreport.
Subreport are inserted into the main part, just like a main report. You also pass queries and parameters to it. In other words, a subreport can be considered as an extension to your main report, but it consists of a different data set. For example, you can prepare a report of customers and then use a subreport to show a list of orders for each customer.
When to use null data-driven subscription.
Create a data-driven subscription that uses the null delivery provider. When you specify the null delivery provider as the method of delivery in the subscription, The report server targets the report server database as the delivery destination and uses a specialized rendering extension called the null rendering extension. In contrast with other delivery extensions, the null delivery provider does not have delivery settings that you can configure through a subscription definition.
How does the Report Manager work in SSRS?
Report Manager is a web application. In SSRS it is accessed by a URL. The interface of this Report Manager depends on the permissions of the user. This means to access any functionality or perform any task, the user must be assigned a role. A user with a role of full permissions can entire all the features and menus of the report. To configure the Report Manager, a URL needs to be defined.
What are the reporting services components?
Reporting services components assist in development. These processing components include some tools that are used to create, manage and view reports. A report designer is used to create the reports. A report server is used to execute and distribute reports. A report manager is used to manage the report server.
What is Report Builder?
Report Builder is a business user, ad hoc report design client that allows users to design reports based on the business terms, Report Builder model, they are familiar with, but without needing to understand database schemas or how to write SQL or MDX queries. Report Builder works with both SQL Server and Analysis Services data sources.
How does Report Builder support Analysis Services cubes?
Report Builder supports relational SQL and Analysis Services data sources in SQL Server. To create a model for Analysis Services cube, go to Report Manager or Management Studio, create a data source for your Analysis Services database, and then select the Generate Model option to create the model.
How do users use Report Builder with SQL Server data sources?
While models that provide access to SQL Server Analysis Services are automatically generated on the report server, the Report Builder Model Designer can be used to generate or modify the models that are built on top of SQL Server relational databases. These model building projects are a new type of project within a Visual Studio-based development shell.
How can I add reporting services reports to my application?
Visual Studio, SSDT/BY Data Tools, Standard and Enterprise Editions, contains a set of freely redistributable report viewer controls that make it easy to embed reporting services functionality into custom applications. Two versions of the report viewer exist, one for rich Windows client applications and one for ASP.NET applications.
Can you import Microsoft Excel data to SSRS?
Reporting Services does not import data. It only queries data in whatever format it is stored in their native storage system. I will assume that you're asking whether you can create reports and use Excel spreadsheets as data sources. The answer is yes. Reporting Services supports a wide variety of data sources, including Excel files. You'll get the best performance with the built-in native .NET providers, but you should be able to connect to any ODBC or OLDB data source, whether it comes from Microsoft or a third-party company.
Can we deploy SSRS reports on our personal website?
Your reports can only be deployed on a reporting services site. Your only option for viewing them from other sites is an HTTP link. Some tools, like SharePoint, offer controls allowing you to view reports in the context of the other websites, but the report is still deployed to and hosted from reporting services.
Can we use data grids for our report in SSRS?
We have an ASP.NET project that populates a data grid. Using data grid as my data source for my report using SQL Server reporting services. Is this possible? The simple answer is no. However, nothing's ever simple. A set of reporting controls was added in Visual Studio 2010 allowing you to report in a dataset, on data that was supplied by you. So, if you retrieved your data into a dataset, bound the data grid to the dataset so it had data to display, you could then use that dataset as the data source for the reporting controls. These are then client-side reports, not server reports though.
What are the drawbacks of reporting in SSRS?
For many years, Microsoft had no direct solution for reporting with the SQL Server besides Crystal reports. Now, they have SQL Server reporting services, but it does have several drawbacks. It is still complex to understand the complete functionality and structure of this new component, and many users are still relying on the reporting application they are more familiar with, which is Crystal Reports. Also, components in SSRS like Report Builder and Report Designer are meant for different users for different aspects of the report process, yet complete understanding and exposure to both is important to utilize both functions fully and extensively. There are also issues when exporting very large reports to Microsoft Excel, as it can lead to a loss of data.
Will running SSRS on Windows XP limit the number of users?
Yes, but not because of SSRS. The Internet Information Services (IIS) component of Windows XP only allows a small number of users to connect to the website at once. As SSRS runs via EAS, this would prevent more than a few people from using SSRS at once. Also, the only edition of SSRS that will install on Windows XP is the Developer Edition. This edition cannot be used for production use. You need Standard or Enterprise Edition for production use, which requires a server OS to install on Windows 2003 Standard, Windows 2008 Standard, etc.
Are there issues when exporting SSRS reports into Microsoft Excel?
When my users are trying to export a SSRS report into Microsoft Excel, one or two columns in the report appear to merge together. Why might this be? Exporting from SSRS is not always perfect, even if you stay within the Microsoft range of products. If you have extra resources, you could splurge for an add-on that offers much better control over exporting to Excel, such as Office Writer. From my experience, though, it is usually headers or footers that cause exporting issues. If any of these headers or footers overlap with data columns in your report, you will find that the exported version of the report has merged cells. Also, check columns next to each other to make sure that there is no overlap, as well.
How to send a SSRS report from SIS?
Often there is a requirement to be able to send a SSRS report in Excel, PDF or another format to different users from a SIS package once it has finished performing a data load. In order to do this, first you need to create a subscription to the report. You can create a SSRS report subscription from Report Manager. At the report subscription you can mention the report format and the email address of the recipient. When you create a schedule for the SSRS report, a SQL Server agent job will be created. From the SIS, by using sp_start_job and passing the relevant job name you can execute the SSRS report subscription.
Tell me about yourself.
Here you are definitely not going to tell the interviewer about your favorite dish, movie or actor. The interviewer asks this question to analyze how confident you are and how you present yourself. The best way to answer this common interview question is to tell the hiring manager about your education and family background. However, this should not look like your life story and you should quickly concentrate on sharing a bit about your strengths that build the platform for further discussion about your suitability for the job opening. Keep in mind. First point, don't narrate what is already mentioned in your CV. Second point, focus more on talking about your achievements and learning. And third, keep it short.
Why did you decide to apply to this role?
This question aims to evaluate the candidate's interest in the role. Are they really motivated to get hired for this specific job, or do they just mass apply to every job ad under the sun? Candidates should show that this application was a conscious decision on their part. Now I am going to share sample answer. I have been following your company's successes for some time now and I know you have a great software development team. I was thinking that this would be the best environment for me to apply the skills I acquired during my internship and master's degree. So, I checked your careers page regularly and when I saw this job ad, I thought it was finally time to try my hand. I have experience in web development and I'm really interested in the projects you're mentioning in the job ad. In fact, one of them was the subject of my thesis. I really think I'm a good fit for the job and can grow even more in your workplace.
Why are you interested in this position?
This question is a critical indicator as to whether you're interested in this company and role in particular, or whether you're simply applying to any role in the field. For instance, it's not a good sign if you say, "Well, I'm interested in social media, so this role seemed like a good fit." Instead, you want to mention specific qualifications of the role itself, and demonstrate how those qualifications align with your personal strengths. Additionally, it's important you mention how you can help drive results for the team.
Why are you leaving your current job?
This is an opportunity to outline positive benefits you hope to gain by transitioning into a new role. However, one of the biggest mistakes you can make when answering this question is focusing on negative aspects of your current employer, rather than discussing positive aspects of the new company. An HR professional will mark it as a red flag if you talk poorly about your current employer or company. It illustrates someone who isn't very professional, has a negative attitude, and could bring toxic energy into their new work environment.
Can you describe a work or school instance in which you messed up?
This is an intentionally tricky question. It's meant to glean insight into whether you can learn from past mistakes. If you can't think of any past errors, it could be an indicator you aren't capable of accepting responsibility for your own mistakes. However, creating a long list of past mishaps could make you look unqualified for the role. You will want to answer this question succinctly, and point out an error that doesn't represent a lack of character. Consider one well-intentioned error you've had in the past, mention it, and then talk about how you grew from that experience.
Tell me about a time when you experienced conflict with a coworker and how you dealt with it.
The HR professional isn't interested in hearing about that time your coworker said something snide about you in the kitchen, or when your manager overheard you gossiping about a client to a friend. Instead, this question is asked to gain insight into how you handle professional conflict. At the office, conflict is bound to arise, particularly when you're working closely with many different people. It's critical you know how to handle conflict without pointing fingers. Your answer should primarily focus on the solution, and should show a level of empathy towards your colleagues, rather than focusing on the problem.
What do you know about our company?
This is a fantastic opportunity to impress the interviewer. Ultimately, this question aims to gauge your level of interest in the company. The more you've researched prior accomplishments, company values, and basic information regarding the product or service, the more you can demonstrate a genuine desire to work there.
How would you improve our current product or service?
An HR professional wants to know whether you're innovative, a quick thinker, and if you'll bring new ideas to the role. There isn't necessarily a wrong answer here, you just need to show some creativity, and planning in advance will help. Consider potential problems they might be experiencing with their product or service, and how your unique skill set can fill that void.
How would your current manager describe you?
It can be awkward to brag about yourself, so while this question may seem weird, it's really the HR professional's tactic for hearing how your current boss views you in a work environment. To feel less uncomfortable answering this question, thoughtfully consider your last performance review, and use direct quotes from your boss in your answer.
What are your hobbies?
In your fresher interview questions, you can even expect some basic interview questions like what are your hobbies? Now if you think why the employer is interested in knowing about your hobbies, it is an important interview question. The interviewer tries to gauge about your personality, your energy level and how fit you can be for the company's culture. Therefore, share something that adds value to your skills such as traveling and meeting people if you are appearing for a client meeting role. Even sharing some generic hobbies such as some sports or reading reflect well on your activeness. There are 2 points which is very important and consider always in interview. First is avoid sharing hobbies that can give a bad impression such as gambling. Second is sharing a mix of personal and professional interests shows you a balanced person in life.
What are your weaknesses?
It becomes critical when you have to share your weaknesses, that too, with your hiring manager. However, it is never recommended to say that you do not have any weaknesses. It makes you look arrogant. Therefore, choose a weakness that doesn't impact your current job role. For example, you are afraid to sleep alone can be your weakness. There are 2 points which is very important and consider always in interview. First is never brag about the strengths and skills that you cannot justify. Second is always elaborate your strengths and weaknesses with some quick examples.
What are your strengths?
This is one of the most important fresher interview questions, as the employer analyzes your strengths for the job role and tries to understand the challenges you might face in the new job role. Therefore, be cautious about stating any of your strengths or weaknesses. The good idea is to share strengths that are related to the job. One such interview answer sample for an electrical engineer job interview would be to talk about your expertise in evaluating electrical products, systems and components if you are confident to answer any question related to it. In the end, also saying that you are a quick learner adds value to your strengths.
Why we should hire you.
With this strict interview question and answer, the employer wants to see your ability to pitch your skills and convincing power. Moreover, this interview question is an opportunity to show the interviewer your willingness for the job. The best way to answer this fresher interview question is to talk about your skills and strengths that match the job role. You can even share some more examples of how you managed a few projects or important assignments in your college that reflect your strengths. You should follow this. First is share strengths and skills that are relevant for the job description, but keep it short. Second is wait and elaborate if the interviewer wants to know more about particular instances to validate your points.
What are your salary expectations?
As a fresh graduate, talking about your first salary is exciting, but a difficult job. The best way to answer this common interview question is to do some research in advance so that you can confidently take a reasonable range. You should follow this. First is never ask for either a too less or too high salary package, as this might cost you the job at both the ends. Second is, in case you still do not have any idea about a reasonable salary for the job role, you can simply answer to accept the package as per industry standards. This leaves much scope for the negotiation at the time of final offer letter.
Do you have any questions for us?
Most of the job interviews close at this basic interview question, where the interviewer leaves scope for you to clear your doubts. Moreover, asking questions show that you are a confident and focused person who wants clarity for his/her job. Many fresh graduates hesitate to ask questions from the interviewer, but it is always recommended to ask some relevant questions. You should follow this. First is prepare a list of questions in advance that can help you get familiarized with the job role. Second is ask intelligent questions that show your curiosity to know more about the company, its policies, people, any specific skill you need to acquire for the given role, etc. And third is avoid asking irrelevant questions such as the duration of lunch hours, how often the company organizes parties, or how soon you will be promoted to the next level.